You never really get to use that one. Receipt of evidence.
The County Board of Supervisors December 16th meeting agenda was posted in the Government Center building in 2 places and posted on the county website on Thursday, December 11th, 2025. In addition, on Thursday, December 11th at 2:48 p.m., the Office of the County Clerk distributed copies of such notice of meeting to supervisors and media via email.
Clerk,
That constitutes proper notice.
you roll call, please.
Brad Olson,
Here.
Doug Rowdy,
He's excused.
Steve Worndahl,
Here.
Pam Garvey. Here. Tracy LeBlanc. Here. Dan Ruck,
Here.
Sharon Kelly. Here. Jeremy Hall,
Here.
Kim O'Connell,
Here.
Tony Johnson,
Here.
Jay Luke,
Here.
Fran Duncanson. Here. Russ Arkand,
Here.
Keith Karpinski,
Here.
Don Bonaprise.
Here.
Team members present.
Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. Need a motion on the agenda?
Who would object the agenda as presented?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the agenda. Any changes or anybody have any comments? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Need a motion on the matters of consent.
A motion to approve the consent agenda for A and B.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded for the consent agenda. A and B, all in favor?
Aye.
Same sign. Public comments, limited 3 minutes. Anybody have any comments?
County Board, Todd Miller, Polk County Snowmobile and ATV Council President, live in Frederick. Polk County has been involved in the status of what is now known as the Stour 7 Lakes Trail for many years. The first master plan Polk County undertook with the DNR guidance and committee of citizens represented all potential recreational trail users. Took over a year to develop and it was approved in 2004. The plan is still posted on the DNR's website for everyone to see, even though it has been considered void. The more recent plan has also taken a great deal of time and effort on part of the county with the assistance from representatives of all of the affected users, groups both motorized and non-motorized. It too was not accepted by a small group that thought they should be the only ones to determine who could enjoy this abandoned railroad grade owned by the state of Wisconsin, managed by Polk County. We believe that council believe that the entire issue can be resolved with another public hearing to address the addition of the winter use pedestrian trail to the master plan. That course of action should be pursued, making it unnecessary to amend the MOU. Looking at this, I look at this as a Super Bowl. Our favorite team is on the 2-yard line. It's 1st and 10. We got 3 timeouts. We run 3 plays. We don't get a touchdown. It's 4th down. What do? Let the time run out and not attempt a field goal. And we're only down by 2 points. Let's continue this, unlike the football game, and see this out all the way. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Seeing none, we will close the minutes or the 3-minute comments. Presentation by Scott Allen regarding West Central Wisconsin region.
Good evening. Thank you, supervisors. Appreciate the opportunity to be here before you with our annual presentation to update you on the West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission. Polk County is one of 7 counties in our region as members of our commission. Along with me is Amanda Veith, and she'll be presenting at the end, talk about the Regional Business Fund. So with that, we begin for the opportunity. Hopefully I can get this to work if I turn it on. So just a real quick background, since many of you are very familiar with the regional planning commissions in Wisconsin. There are 9 in the state of Wisconsin. We are number 9, just alphabetically, as you see there on the screen. We were formed by state statute, along with all the other regional planning commissions were formed by state statute, but at different times. We were formed in 1971, so we'll be celebrating 55 years next March. Highlighting the different counties and a little bit zoomed in map of the region. We stretch from Clark County in the east to Polk County and St. Croix County in the west. We're governed by a 21-member commission, so 7 counties. That's 3 commissioners per county, and those appointments are made by the county board every even numbered year. So you're due to look at appointments or reappointments following your spring elections here in 2026. But for now, we have 2 county board supervisors, Keith Karbensky and Sharon Kelly. Thank you for serving on the commission. Supervisor Kelly serves in the role as well as executive committee member. So there's 1 from each county that serves on the 7-member executive committee. Polk County, like majority of the 7 counties, has appointed 2 county board supervisors along with a citizen member. In this case, you have Terry Hauer, who's the Polk County EDC director. So that's also very kind of common makeup for most of our 7 counties in the region. Just highlighting our organizational chart. We have 15 staff members, which I am one, and Amanda is another one. You can see there, I should probably be highlighted in yellow as well, but 3 of us are administrative staff. 3 are with the Regional Business Fund, which Amanda will be talking about here in a moment. And then we have 9 planners. So 9 planners that specialize in different areas. And you may actually have had a lot of association with one of our senior planners, Ross Petersak, at various times throughout this year. And I'll talk about some of the projects Ross has been working on here in Polk County. Just real quickly, our goal is to assist units of government in planning for physical, social, and economic development needs of the region. We highlighting this in kind of 3 different ways, serving as a coordinating organization between federal and state agencies and local governments. So kind of we're that regional kind of in-between group. We assist units of government on working on those regional issues. And then finally, we provide technical assistance to individual units of government, including counties, but also cities, villages, and towns. Our services can be summarized into 4 different areas or buckets, as I call them: economic development, transportation, community development, and conservation and mapping. The photo there you see is one of our informational displays that we put out at the Farm Technology Days. It was hosted in our region last year in 2024 at Chippewa County. And a little bit more specifically, just to call out some of the long list of things that we assist with in these different buckets: economic development, administration of revolving loan funds. Again, Amanda will be talking a little bit more about that here momentarily. County economic profiles. In your folder, you have, that was presented at your spot, our 2-pocket folder. On the left-hand side is that economic profile that we update each year. So that was done back in June for each of the 7 counties. So we worked with Terry Hauer, with your EDC director, to make sure it was as up-to-date and accurate as possible. So again, that was back in June, so things may have already changed. But on the left-hand side is information about the Regional Planning Commission, and the right-hand side is more information related to Regional Business Fund. Transportation is also a big topic that we deal with, both urban and rural side of things. We do safety plans. I'll talk about that here in a moment. And I want to highlight as well pedestrian bicycle facilities planning. That's where you may have been running into our senior planner, Ross Petersak, this year working on a bike and ped plan for Polk County. Community development is the longest list of topics we handle. Grant writing administration is one of those that impacts all the counties in different ways, different levels of government that we work with to help with grant writing and administration, emergency preparedness and hazard mitigation planning. We help put together the hazard mitigation plans for each of the counties. And I'll talk a little bit more about Polk County one here in a moment. Outdoor recreation plans, very timely in a lot of different ways throughout the region. And then our conservation mapping, we're just getting underway with some water quality planning, providing a kind of a resource hub that we're going to be putting online here very shortly. So more specific to Polk County, kind of projects and programs that we wanted to highlight. It's just a highlight that we could fit into one slide over the last year to year and a half since we were with you last. Again, I mentioned that 2025 economic profile, kind of the middle of the page there is that Polk County Bike and Ped Plan. I know it's kind of a long, wonky looking link, but if you actually just Google Polk County, Wisconsin Bike and Ped Plan, it'll bounce you to this link, but it's in your packet as well. So you can type that long thing in as well. But that has the whole project website. So you can see the latest drafts, maps, information for that project. I know it was highlighted in the Intercounty Leader not long ago, I think most recent edition, in fact, with a little blurb about it be coming before you here in early spring. So look forward to bringing that in a more formal sense back for your review and consider in just a few short months. I mentioned Safe Routes to School planning. That again helps. We have a separate program that really just focuses on that. There's a set of funds come through the federal government that help with Safe Routes to School planning, especially in communities that you have limited access to sidewalks and other kind of multimodal facilities for kids to get to school beyond just being driven or perhaps a bus. One of those was we did a bike rack audit for Osceola School District last year to help identify which schools might benefit the most from perhaps some bike racks, of which, again, we can assist with funding to help provide those to different schools. Completed the Polk County Farmland Preservation Plan that was talked about at presentation last year. That was late last year that was done. We also completed the Polk County Crash Report, which we do those for each of the 7 counties as well. I'll show an image of that here. And then finally, it's still shown as draft because it hasn't been adopted at the state level yet. But the Polk County Hazard Mitigation Plan was adopted by the county board back in April. And we also provided, it's the image there, the top right of that cover. Then along with that, we were able to provide a hazard mitigation plan kind of hub site, for lack of a better term, that we helped build out with remaining grant funds from that hazard mitigation plan development. This is not quite yet live, but it's something we built and handed off to Polk County staff to kind of finalize and get up online here very shortly. I mentioned that Polk County Crash Report. This is kind of just an overall picture of that, but each of the towns, cities and villages have individual pages that highlight some of these different crash statistics. And the point here is to assist with where those hotspots of concern that maybe need some capital improvement programming or planning dollars to help make roadway improvements or other improvements related to various crash types. I'll start wrapping up here, talking a little bit about budgeting. Have our budget, see here in the pie chart, this is for the current year. We're finalizing and launching our 2026 budget at the commission meeting here in January. So this is kind of closing out 2025. But I like to highlight that purple wedge, kind of the bottom left-hand side of the pie there. It's over a third of our funding comes from outside sources, meaning from other contractual revenue, grants ourselves, things of that sort. And I also like to highlight that upper left green wedge, kind of 10 o'clock to noon mark there is 17%. And that ranges anywhere from 15 to 20% each year. That is from county level levy. And for Polk County, this is just kind of a short history from last year, this year, and what you've adopted for next year in terms of the funding through Polk County. It's based on the kind of every county has a little bit different level, but it's based on equalized value. within each county. So for example, Clark County will be a little bit lower number than Eau Claire County versus Polk County, so on and so forth. So, but overall, the commission reviews this every March, and they set that already in March for the following year budget. So it's like to say, we just finished painting the bridge, and now we're going back to the start and going to start painting the bridge all over again here in January and into March, setting the budget levy for the following year. With that, again, they're looking at anywhere from 3 to 4% typically, just to try to keep up with kind of cost of living adjustments and inflationary adjustments. So that's usually what the commission, again, made up of county board supervisors primarily, is taking into consideration. So while it's 3 to 4% overall for all 7 counties, again, it fluctuates a little bit within each county based on equalized value. So I'll just close with this, and I'll turn it over to Amanda. Reasons for regional planning. I want to highlight, we kind of have 3 there, but the last one, representation and communication. We represent local interests to high levels of government. Talked about hazard mitigation planning. You may have heard recently that some FEMA funding was just restored to keep that moving forward. So that was one thing that we were involved in, was having conversations with our federally elected officials and just having conversations about that funding. So it's good to be a part of that, to see that restored. So your hazard mitigation plan hopefully be adopted here shortly at the state level. So that's reason for regional planning. Benefit of that, I mentioned data and information hub. We built that information hub that we turned over to you, to county staff, in terms of your hazard mitigation plan itself. So that's something that we help have that expertise to build and provide some demographic, regional, and other data. And then finally, what else should you know about us? Number 3 and 5, I wanted to highlight public mission impact. Again, we're quasi-governmental. We have that levy component to our budget. So we also provide that and address that public purpose. So we have that same kind of accountability that elected bodies do have as well. Again, our commission is made up primarily of elected officials, and they're all appointed by you and each of the individual county boards from each of the 7 counties. And again, finally, we provide that unique and essential services. You provide things like that crash report, like that hazard mitigation plan hub site that, again, staff may not have the capacity for at each of the local communities or at county government level. And we provide that additional help and information. So with that, I'll turn it over to Amanda, and then we'll see if there are any questions at the end.
Hi, everyone. I will just give you a quick update on the Regional Business Fund and who I am and what we do. So my name is Amanda Veith. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm the lending specialist for the Regional Planning Commission. Most of my time is devoted to working on the contract that the Regional Business Fund has with the Regional Planning Commission. The Regional Business Fund is a nonprofit that was created by the West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission to administer those revolving loan funds, and it's staffed by the RPC. You can see the 3 of us here. We've got Toby Lemahue, the fund manager, myself, and then our processor, Jennifer Brixon. The Regional Business Fund does have a 9-member board of directors. The representative is Aaron Mork. There is 1 from every county we service and then 2 at-large members. We offer low-interest business or loans to businesses that provide an economic benefit to the region, whether that's if they're expanding within the region, increasing the tax base, diversifying the economy, adding new technology, revitalizing downtown businesses, or creating quality jobs. The funds are flexible and they can be used for a variety of business purposes. We have the 8 programs listed above here, and it's important to know that these programs don't compete with the traditional banks or whether we come in as a gap source of financing when additional funding is needed. So if you have any questions about our programs, you can contact us. They're all on the website. And then there is a brochure in all of your folders. This is just a snapshot of since inception, how our funds have influenced Polk County. So we've helped a total of 166 businesses, 76 of which were considered startups with a little bit over $8.5 million in financing, created almost 600 jobs in Polk County, and leveraged almost $79 million in private funding. Then I'll just tell you about a couple of recent borrowers. First, we've got Little Honeybees Nature Preschool in Centuria. That was established in June 2024 by Ashley Johnson in order to open a specialty childcare center on her property. Their property is around 50 acres. It consists of 2 parcels containing their homestead, a large field, woods, and old pasture lands with trails groomed throughout. It's right off the southern section of the Gandy Dancer portion of the Ice Age National Trail. She envisioned a childcare center that was based on nature-based learning, and during the construction, students enjoyed almost their first full year outdoors on the property. The funds were dispersed in fall of 2024, and construction was finally completed this fall. And then because learning from nature is a central theme in Mrs. Johnson's teachings, the students still bundle up and play in the snow, but now they have this beautiful space that they can go inside and learn in. Because she was considered a startup, she qualified for our microloan, which is she was unable to get traditional financing. So along with their personal funds, they took a regional business fund microloan for $30,000 to help with the construction of that building. And we've got another program here that was utilized by the Unique Boutique on St. Croix Falls. The Unique Boutique was in operations as a women's clothing boutique since 2021 and is owned by Sherry Steele. In 2024, Sherry and her husband purchased 107 North Washington Street in downtown St. Croix after it was relinquished to the city. And so they did renovations inside and out. They did get credit union financing to purchase the building and do some interior renovations, and then their facade loan for $60,000 was used to assist with those exterior renovations to help preserve the brick, doing tuck pointing and masonry. They had to create new windows for those specialty spaces and then update their signage. And then we always like to recognize the input that the Polk County citizens give to our organization, especially our loan committee members who kind of decision most of the things that come across our path. We've got Aaron Mork, Isaac Christensen, Dan Ruck, Jeff Reed, Ned Albert, Devin Swanberg, and Kirk Anderson currently serving on our loan committee. And then we work closely with Terry Howard, the Polk County Economic Development Corporation, and all the other economic development partners that kind of spread the word about our programs and talk to the business owners and help us out. Does anyone have any questions for Scott or I?
How many defaults did you have? Was there very many? Is
None in
that
Polk
stayed
County.
down? Polk County, please.
None in Polk County, no. I think we had 2 last year.
Okay, for over the whole lot for all of them.
Yep, we have around 400 active loans, so.
Yeah, 400. I thought it showed 166.
Oh, in Polk County, we don't have any default.
Okay.
And that was 166 loans in Polk County some of those are paid off. Those aren't all active.
So is that from 2007?
2007, we've had
166. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, very good. Thank you again for your time and partnership. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to number 9, possible action to ratify administrator's goal to renew his contract.
So for number 9, in recent history, the administrator's goals have never actually come in front of the full board. The executive committee has established those for the county administrator, and ultimately it never really came in front of the full board for their consideration. What consideration means, in my interpretation of your rules of order, is that the executive committee's obligation is to set the rules based upon their evaluation of the administrator. The full board has assigned that responsibility to the executive committee. The full board, I believe, is to take in what the executive committee has established as the goals for the administrator and basically just acknowledge that those are the goals. I think that you have an opportunity to have a discussion amongst yourselves. Theoretically, you could send it back to the executive committee, in my opinion, but that is basically the only formal action other than ratification of what the goals are for the administrator that this board has in front of it. So you as a board don't get to say, hey, we want to strike this goal. Hey, we want to amend this. The only actions are a thumbs up or a thumbs down. We want to send it back down to the executive committee to establish additional goals. You can talk about what you think those goals might be and that what you think the executive committee can take into consideration, but you can't formally do anything. It's possible that the executive committee takes your discussion and says, no, we want the exact same goals and sends it right back up to you. Does that make sense? Everyone understands what consideration means for the board?
And is that better in open session or closed session?
This particular topic is only marked for open session. Historically, I think it has been marked for closed session. I think in order to be as transparent for the executive of the county, the administrator has agreed that the conversation be held in open session.
Okay,
So do we have the goals? We don't have them with us.
Sorry, so Administrator Norby is gonna go over what the three goals are that the executive committee came up with in conjunction with him. And then again, you can either have a conversation or if there's no ultimate discussion on what those goals are, you can move that they essentially be ratified. This is really the action that the board can take.
okay,
Yeah, county board, met with the executive committee twice on these goals. There are three goals. The first one is to update, enhance the county safety program and policy, review, revise, and implement updates to the county safety program and policies to ensure compliance with current OSHA standards, Wisconsin and federal standards, address emerging workplace safety risks, and promote culture and safety across the departments. Goal number 2 is to rebid the county's health benefit plans to ensure competitive pricing, improve coverage options, and align with the employees' needs and budgetary goals. And the third one is a standing one, basically, is to develop, implement a structurally balanced county budget that optimizes all available finance resources, levy, bonding, short-term loans, investments, and other revenue sources to achieve fiscal stability, support strategic initiatives, and to ensure sustainable service delivery. And those were the three goals that were discussed at the executive committee.
okay. Anyone have any comments in reference to that? Potential question?
I have one question.
Go ahead.
As chief administrator of the county, overseeing, in essence, all the county employees, is there a need to have an employee management type of goal? In my experience, when I was in management and upper management, I never saw a set of goals that didn't have, for upper management to have some sort of an employee. And I'm not saying I know exactly what it is. It's just a question, a comment, some sort of employee management type of goal.
Is that to adhere to disciplinary policies and following that type of, is that what you're, as far as employee management?
Yes, I guess, in the past, like I said, in my prior experience, it was yes, to adhere to policies, but also, and maybe the measurement on it was also a little more difficult, but also for, proper, like employee development, employee support, employee guidance kind of were the types of goals I had seen in management and upper management. And again, maybe a little harder to measure. But there, the idea that the top administrator or upper management, part of their goal is to make sure that employees are well managed and also have the growth and development.
Okay. Fran?
I was just going to ask a question. So with the way our organizational structure is, the department heads, I think, kind of manage what Pam was speaking to as far as employee development and that type of thing. Is that correct or is that wrong? It seems like I recall in the past that that's the way it was done.
I think, what I heard from you was the people that report directly to you, that's
Correct.
who that goal is.
Yes. I apologize if I didn't say it clearly, but yes, it would be that level,
And I agree with you that the department heads are responsible for
their staff.
groups,
Yes.
for making sure they have these
Okay.
and growth opportunities and whatever.
So in other words, it's something that is actually happening.
It may be for all the underlings. It's just a matter of those that department heads that report up to administration.
Yeah.
Again, it's just a comment.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any other comments?
It'd be Monday, we sent 5 of the directors to Wausau for AI symposium training on what's coming down the road for AI to develop
Yes.
that.
Right.
Yes.
Those types of things. It's important that your level of, people that report directly to you, that's part of your overview, that they are kept up to speed. They have opportunities for development to learn to help do their jobs.
Dan, did you have something?
Because I don't know, is it a normal procedure for us to extend a contract for 4 additional years when the first contract has not even been completed yet? Has that been a normal procedure?
Done it.
So I can answer the question to the extent that I have knowledge. So basically, over the last 6 years, we've had, I believe, 4 different administrators. Those last 4 contracts were not extended. Well, with an administrator, Netherlands, we had 2 contracts. It was only extended once, and it was extended at the end of the term. The previous administrator did not have a contract extension. The administrator before that did have a contract extension, and it was at the end of his term for that contract. So that's the only 2 in my recollection, and they both have been at the end of the term, and that's all I can really speak to.
Anybody else?
And those are extended for a 5-year term?
No, so I don't recall what Administrator Fry's extension was for, but Administrator Netherland had a 3-year extension, I believe was the extension. So I think he had a 2-year contract originally. I think it was a 3-year extension. He ended up leaving after a year and a half, something like that.
Is that part of this goal discussion?
It is part of the second part of agenda item number 9. Not the goals, but it
Second
is
part.
second part of the agenda.
Gotcha.
Same question.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
I just asked, would anyone want the goals sent back to committee? And more work done on them, or are we good on the goals?
I would like to see him go back.
Okay, and do what?
I'd just take a deeper look at him, maybe look into what, what Pam talked about. I think we're not under the gun in a time frame here, so I think it's important that we take our time, have the discussions, and make sure we get this right. Go ahead, Johnny.
Well, I fully entrust the work that our executive committee has done. I think that the executive committee has done due diligence relating to us as supervisors. And I think the success of Polk County is retaining employees, having good incentives for our employees. And if we have a chance to extend this contract, I'm certainly in favor of it. I think my constituents are. We've had a percentage in lowering our tax levy this year. And I certainly trust what our executive committee has done, and I'm favoring moving on forward with it.
Anyone else on the extension?
Was it the executive committee that decided they wanted to do a 5-year contract? I mean, they approved, they supported the 5-year contract?
The contract that's being sent up, so moving on to the contract that's being sent up, I will go over what the proposed changes are from the previous contract, but the contract that's being sent up is proposed for ratification as negotiated by the executive committee. So the executive committee negotiated it with Administrator Norby, and it is the recommendation of the executive committee, based upon my recollection, that it be ratified by the full board.
Anybody else have any questions?
I just have a comment.
Go ahead, Steve.
You know, when we look back at the past and how many administrators we've had and how many headaches we've had. Okay,
We created a lot of them.
we seem to be stable at this time. I think the work on the budget was exceptional this year. When I was the highway commissioner, the budget was a struggle. This year it was very clear to me, every single item on there. You know, I think it's time for us to look for stability. The administrator wants to spend the rest of his days here. It doesn't matter. I mean, if somebody's gonna get rid of him, it's the same through the verbiage in the contract anyway, whether it's a year or 4 or whatever it is. I mean, the buyout's the same. Okay, so he's just looking for stability. And the executive committee was pretty comfortable with that. So that was one of the things that helped us with our decision.
It's just unusual, if not unheard of, to give a 5-year contract. I would think. No, and I'm not saying he's doing anything wrong, and I'm not concerned about the whatever you just said about getting rid of or whatever. It's just 5 years is a long contract. And we have another year left on the current contract. So why are we doing this now versus in a year?
Any other comments?
I got one more.
Go ahead.
Keep them. That's why we're doing it. Keep them. You know, he may be looking at something else. So.
Johnny?
I can tell you, we have a lot of discussions on my legislative committee, and 5-year contract is not really acceptable. A lot of them nowadays are 6-year contracts.
For county administrators?
Yes. Yep, county administrator is.
Do you know that for a fact?
Yeah, well, just discussion that around the state, and county administrators, the good ones, are really high sought position. And and I think we can learn by experience that we need stability, and I trust that that's what the executive committee was looking at, was the stability. And I think in our general lives, we feel the same way. That's a vision that we need. I'm all for it, and my constituents are.
Does anybody want to take any action on it?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Chris.
I think, let's go through it and see what the changes are. Let's actually, so everybody knows what the changes were, what was there and what we have now. Can we do that? Is it not highlighted?
Does the board want to, I think Supervisor Duncanson wants to be recognized also, but does the board want to move on the goals and then go on to the contract issue? Or
Is it a one or the other? If the goals need to go back, are we just still talking about the contract before we send it back to committee?
the
Or
goals,
once we get to finish the goals, are we just gonna send it back to committee and not talk about the contract?
from my perspective, the board has every right to take action on the goals, decide whether the goals are more or less separate from the contract. The contract is kind of its own thing. They both came out of the executive committee at the same time. They both talk about a similar topic, but they can be acted on separately. I think the goals are one issue, the contract is absolutely another.
Are the
issue. You
goals
don't
for
have to,
1 year? Are the goals set up for 1 year?
the goals are
Annual goals?
reassessed every year. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So that being said, I'm fine going over what's in the contract, but I think taking some action on the goals and then moving on to the contract is probably the best, most cohesive way to move forward.
I'll make a motion to send it back to committee with the goals, 4 goals, including an employee goal for, as Pam was talking.
So so I understand the goals. Pardon? What?
Just the goals are going back to committee.
Right.
Well, it's just to get a vote so we can move on.
But that's your motion, that the
Yes.
goals be sent back to committee.
Yep.
That was all.
That's what we need.
With a goal, yeah, and.
The
we
goal
recommend a
oriented
goal.
towards employee.
Or we can't recommend.
You can recommend.
You can recommend, but you
Right.
can't say that they add that.
Yeah, we just recommend
Right.
that they add a goal around employee development
Any
for
change?
direct reports to the administrator.
You're asking the executive committee to come up with additional goals other than
Just one,
one, just one.
the one Pam talked about,
Okay.
employee development.
That's the only one you're talking about. So you're sending it back to executive for that purpose. That's your motion? Okay. Motion made,
I'll second that.
motion made and seconded. Call for a roll call vote, please. Roll call vote.
Tim O'Connell,
No.
Tony Johnson,
Yes.
Fran Duncanson. No. Russ Arkan,
Yes.
Keith Karpinski,
Yes.
John Bonprise,
No.
Jay Luke,
No.
Brad Olson,
Yes.
Steve Wornall,
No.
Pam Garvey,
Yes.
Tracy LeBlanc,
No.
Dan Ruck,
Yes.
Sharon Kelly,
Yes.
Jeremy Hall.
Yes.
That's 8 yeses and 6 nos.
So now that's being a two-part deal. Yeah, on
Renewal. Renewal of administrator's contract.
So the second part of 9 is the renewal of the contract. So the only changes in the contract are the term, as noted. It's an extension of the contract from, the contract currently ends December 1st of 2026. This would be an amendment that starts January 1st of 2026 and runs through December 31st of 2030. Without opining on any decision-making related to the term, would note that I happen to know that St. Croix County has a 6-year, I believe the county administrator's contract goes through 2031 down in St. Croix County. Doesn't make it right or wrong. I'm just providing a piece of information related to the length of the term for the board that the board may or may not know. So that is a change. Obviously, like I said, the contract would otherwise terminate at the end of, or December 1st of 2026. Annual salary and salary adjustments are already adopted. It is essentially formalizing what has already been done by the executive committee. The county administrator has agreed to the 1.5%
Adjustment.
market adjustment at the beginning of the year, January 1st. and has agreed to the same 2% merit increase that the rest of staff receives July 1st. Again, that's already part of the budget. It's already been approved by the executive committee. So this would just be formalizing that into the contract for next year. And nothing changes in terms of the yearly review process through the executive committee for that. That all stays the same in this contract.
I move that we accept the recommendation of the.
Sorry, that was only the first page.
What page?
Oh, is that right? Oh, sorry about that.
Second page, Article 8 is a change in the language, but not a change in the practice. So the practice under the previous contract follows the language that is being amended here. I removed one sentence and added a second sentence. I also changed the words or added the words dedicated and sole. Essentially, the intent of the previous contract, as I understand it, is that the administrator would have a vehicle that is a county vehicle. It's not his vehicle, but that he's able to use for county duties. And if there's any personal use, it's to be de minimis, meaning very small amounts and incidental. So for example, any travel to and from a building, let's say he needed to stop and get groceries, it's on his way home, he would be able to stop at the grocery store and not be in violation of the contract because it's not something that is substantive use of the vehicle. If he said, I wanted to drive across the country and I'm going to take the county vehicle, no. Your vehicle, it's the county's vehicle. The only use is supposed to be for personal use. Any personal use is taxed. He monitors the amount of miles that he uses. Again, it's not a change to the contract, a change to the language to be more clear about what is happening. Okay, so that's Article 8. Article 10, there again isn't particularly substantive changes. It is changes that I requested in order for our terms for being able to terminate the contract to be more legal. I believe that the specific application of the terms as they were in the previous contract are probably not applicable or usable or enforceable. And so I recommended a change to that language. Under sub B is a substantive change. It was negotiated with Administrator Norby that the 6-month severance that was in the previous contract be increased at an incremental rate over the course of the contract. Essentially, if he's to be terminated by the board without cause, meaning that there is no reason to fire him other than political decision or people just feel like they want a different option or whatever, if there isn't cause to terminate him or terminate the contract, then there would be a 6-month severance payout for the first 2 years of the contract. The third year of the contract, the severance increases to 9 months. And the last year of the contract, the severance increases to a year. So that's a substantive change. It was previously just 6 months flat. Other than that, there are no other substantive changes. There's some grammatical changes and date changes to update the contract. So the only two substantive changes are change in the severance package and the change in the term.
So this is all with your blessing.
So I don't get to make a decision on whether.
I mean, as far as being correct.
In terms of its enforceability and clarity, I did draft it and I believe the draft to be appropriate.
Okay. Now I will make a motion to accept the executive committee's employment agreement.
I'll second it.
And a roll call vote, please.
Motion made and seconded,
Discuss it now,
and with some discussion, go ahead.
or is it just dead right there?
No.
Okay, always discussion.
So I guess I'm wondering, when the decision or the change for the mileage reimbursement, under the previous administration, is that the same use that was being done with the vehicle? did he have a sole car? Was it a dedicated vehicle just for him? Or was it a county fleet vehicle that he was able to use when he needed it?
The original language was the same language that the other administrators had. How they utilized it was different, as one administrator was a mile away. One administrator lived in Minnesota that didn't take a car home. One preferred to drive his own Mercedes at that time because he enjoyed driving that one, and the vehicle just was here and parked.
Okay.
But to be clear, Joe looked at the language to be clear on the intent that it was to have a dedicated vehicle on there, and that's why the language change was in there, just to be clear what was happening, and that I am tracking mileage, and to be clear, mileage from Balsam Lake to my house is taxable mileage, so I track those mileages to my house. If I go to GAM or the recycling center or check on a project, those miles I don't track. So miles to and from my house are taxable miles. Those are not free miles. So.
Thought when, the reason why I bring it up, I thought when we first initially negotiated your contract, we gave you a stipend of $5,000 a year after we refused our first offer. And it was for this basically reason that you weren't gonna have your own car anymore.
That was clarified at the executive meeting.
Well, I think there's been other clarification since then from Malia that actually was that's what happened. Is that true, Joe?
I was not a part of the negotiation for the original contract, so I don't know.
Have you talked to Malia about that or no?
I have not discussed with previous council what was and was not negotiated.
I guess my comment would be is why wasn't that documented if that was the case?
Because when the position was asked, when the commission was, the position was offered to me, my counter offer was an extra $5,000 for salary. That was it. Wasn't tied to a vehicle or anything.
Any other comments? Discussion?
Mr. Chair, that's how I remember it, because I was sitting in on it,
Yeah.
you know. Basically came in and turned down the offer. He sat back and he renegotiated.
The executive committee?
Yes.
That was the full board, if I remember right. When he first negotiated with us.
Okay, the motion is made. Any more discussion? Have a motion made and seconded. That's a roll call vote.
Tony Johnson,
Yes.
Fran Duncanson,
Yes.
Russ Arkan,
Yes.
Keith Karpinski,
Yes.
John Bonaprise,
Yes.
Jay Luke,
Yes.
Brad Olson,
No.
Steve Wornall,
Yes.
Pam Garvey,
Yes.
Tracy LeBlanc,
Yes.
Dan Ruck,
No.
Sharon Kelly.
I'm gonna say, I'm assuming everything I heard here was true about other long contracts and stuff.
Discussion's
So
over.
I'll say yes.
Jeremy Hall,
No,
Tim O'Connell.
Yes.
Yeses and 3 noes.
All right, so contracts will get executed by the chair at the meeting today, and so the contract will be ratified.
Okay,
Are the goals going back to committee?
they're back to committee.
I must have missed that.
No?
We voted on it. You voted.
I know we did, but I didn't know what the.
Yeah, they're going back.
All right.
This is a personnel thing. I guess.
For the goals.
Yeah.
Okay,
It was 8-6.
now we'll move to number 10, negotiated contract to DNR Tower Trail.
So on this issue, it is marked, so it's on there. kind of twice, 10 and 11. 10 is marked as a closed session, 11 is marked as an open session. It's only on for a closed session so that you as the board have the opportunity to go into closed if you so choose. I believe that it is legally allowed to do so. However, my recommendation as your counsel, ultimately, in order to be in closed session and for that, whatever happens in that closed session to remain confidential, there has to be a balancing test that is done. My recommendation is that you engage in conversation about this topic in open session unless and until we absolutely have to go into closed as a result of where the conversation goes. Okay, so there are absolutely some possibilities that the conversation may go in a direction where we have to go into closed because whatever we're talking about may lead to a loss of some advantage in a negotiation in the future with the DNR related to the trail. But my recommendation is that we only go into closed if the conversation goes in that direction. And I will absolutely jump in and opine that I think conversation is most appropriate and closed if we get to that point.
We just move on.
So for right now, I think there is, talk a little bit about what we're, I think the administrator is going to talk about the topic a bit. And then I think the board can engage in a discussion with the administrator on that particular topic.
Okay, on our discussion, do you want well, we'll keep it pretty informal.
You ready, Mr. Chair?
But all right, we'll move on.
So
we'll address the issue with the council watching what we're saying very closely. All right, go ahead.
All right, as you know, the court ruled on the Stour Trail, and what the court ruled was they didn't like the planning process that we need to hold another public hearing. So what does that entail and what does that mean if we go that direction, and what direction can we go? Pardon me, I'll jump around a little here. If we have a public hearing, and this is what the court ruled on, does it put snowmobiles back on the trail once the public hearing is done? No, we still have an injunction prohibiting sleds on the trail currently. Not that now that we don't have a plan that's approved by that DNR did not have that. If we revert back to the 2004 plan that was mentioned earlier, that has ATV and snowmobiles on the trail, there's a 2008 injunction on snowmobiles being on the trail on that plan. Along with that, there's a 2007 resurfacing grant from federal dollars that took the ATVs off the trail for the future on that. So that thing, the court did not rule whether snowmobiles could be on it or not. So if we have a public hearing, could we be in the exact same spot we were right now with litigation on that? We could be in there. DNR did not really support us through our courts, as you know. So currently everything is up in the air on that. We could go back and negotiate with the DNR on an MOU and put the burden of the planning of the trail back on DNR and try to get the MOU stated that way with maintenance. And if that falls through, we could give them 90 days notice and terminate our MOU with the trail and give it back to DNR for them to do this. Thus far with litigation, as far as November 19th, we've spent $277,163.57 on litigation, plus an additional $70,000 for tool design to help us with that planning process. Cost of maintaining the Stour currently this year is approximately $35,000 of tax levy money on that, which is kind of a different scenario as the MOU is not working with us as it puts the burden on the county for maintenance and dollars. And it's a state trail. Unlike a state highway where the state pays 100% for their facilities. A good example of that is a culvert goes out on the Gandy. The state says, yes, we need to replace it. It's good. We can go a grant. We get a grant for $30,000, but the culvert costs $40,000. Again, it's a state trail. County eats $10,000 on a state trail. We get very little money on maintaining state trails from bike fees because that's a low dollar amount. So we have a couple options here. And again, one is to try to go through the public hearing and go through that same process and be in our same boat with litigation as where we're going. We could go back to DNR and negotiate with them on the MOU and shift that burden for NR 44 and have them do the master planning for their trail. We'd still have input in there. You'd lose a little control, but we'd still have input at public hearings and that and what the desire is of the county. So that's kind of the options we have in the queue right now. With the litigation in that, we don't have a master plan again, so it reverts back to that 2004 plan that was approved, but we still have the injunction of 2008 for the snowmobiles and no ATVs also because of the federal funding for the resurfacing project that was done around 2007. So it's complicated, a little bit messy.
It wasn't.
So what staff is asking the board to contemplate is granting authority to the administrator to be able to go to or to consider granting authority to the administrator to go to the DNR and renegotiate the MOU to allow him to change the MOU, provide the or require the DNR to engage in the master planning process and allow staff to potentially continue to conduct the maintenance and have similar obligations to what we currently have. The only difference being that the master planning process be readopted by the DNR. Then, if that can't be renegotiated, the administrator have the authority to terminate the contract if terms that are seemingly not acceptable to the county can't be reached. That's what we're asking the board to discuss. And ultimately, I think that's the request of staff is that if the board thinks that's appropriate, move forward that way.
So how do we get out of having to have all this litigation all the time and paying hundreds of thousands of dollars?
We're in the litigation because we have to engage in the master planning process.
But if we say we don't want it anymore?
If we engage in the master planning process, that's where the writ of certiorari runs in. That's where we have the obligation to defend the decision-making. If the DNR is obligated to engage in the master planning process, they are the ones that have to make sure everything is done correctly. They are the ones that have to defend it. They are the ones that have to have the public hearings. They have to expend all the funds to defend it if ultimately there's a challenge to the decision-making.
What's the negative in doing that?
There's a couple of downsides, in my opinion. I think we heard one political opinion in public comment that it would appear as though the county is backing down. It would appear as though the county is losing. It may embolden other litigants. It's possible. That's something that should be considered by the board. Not necessarily on the master planning, because if you agree that the DNR does it, then that's not necessarily the issue, but we have many other trails. It may embolden litigants to think that you aren't willing to defend your decision-making. My position is that that's not correct. That doesn't mean the public won't believe it, but that's not correct. It is a large use of public funds to litigate issues.
Yeah.
We saw getting through one appeal process, it cost almost $300,000. I have no reason to believe that another litigation getting through the appeals court won't cost another $300,000. Litigation is expensive. I think we tell you guys that pretty frequently. And so it's an assessment that you all have to make of what is valuable for the tax dollar. The other potential downside is, as Administrator Norby pointed out, you lose the ability to specifically be the decision maker. You don't lose the ability to give your opinion. We would still have an opportunity to, when the DNR has a public hearing on their master planning process, go and give our input. We would still have that opportunity and exercise the public's input that way. But we wouldn't be able to make the ultimate determination. So that's a downside as well. And I think that was valuable to the board in the past. I think that's why the board ultimately wanted to enter into the MOU to begin with. But as Administrator Norby pointed out, we're in a expensive situation as it is. And the result of the litigation is that the DNR did not give us a lot of direction in how to engage in the process. And if we can renegotiate that into the contract about exactly how to engage with the DNR, exactly what their obligation is in terms of approving a plan, that would be valuable to the county, even if we maintain the obligation to, go through the master planning process. If we can have some level of clarity from them on what the expectations are and what their obligations are as part of that process. The current MOU is not clear on a lot of those things, and that's ultimately what I believe got us in the
How many
situation.
miles of trail is the Stour?
17.
17?
14.
14? Okay.
Wow.
John, what do you want?
That's how much
Yeah.
a mile.
Yeah.
John, go ahead.
Can I ask Steve, he was the chair of our committee, to make the consensus of our committee on the park application?
Well,
What we discussed? We basically discussed, I'd rather pay Mo's wages to negotiate with the DNR than to pay lawyers to go further, but.
Well, hey.
Well, I know, I meant, and I thought of what I was gonna say, I was gonna say that. But we just thought that it'd be better to give it back to DNR.
Yep.
And then get involved, stay involved and get involved with their process and have it in the agreement that we have a role in the process.
that would
So that-
require a change
Yeah,
in
so
the MOU.
It would. So the current MOU requires us to engage in the master planning process and to comply as much as we can within our 44 and to have all the public hearings and do all those things. Yes.
Go ahead,
I have a
Fran.
question. So, and this is hypothetical, of course. So if the county and the DNR are unable to negotiate and reach a new agreement with the county regarding the trail, could the DNR then make an MOU with another municipal entity?
I believe that they would have if we terminated, so there's two potential options here. We could go and try to renegotiate and ultimately the DNR could say, no, we're not going to renegotiate any language. We want it to be exactly as it is. We're not going to do anything. We then have the opportunity to execute the termination provision, which means we give them 90 days notice. And at the end of that 90 days, we have an obligation to continue to comply with any grants. Meaning the only grant that I believe we've received is the one that restricts our ability to have ATVs on it. But if we're not conducting the master planning process, there's not really a way for us to do anything about that. And so we would be more or less out until we enter into a new MOU if we terminated. If we didn't terminate, just because we go and try to engage them in a negotiation and then negotiation fails, if we don't execute the termination provision, the MOU stands, right? We could go and try to negotiate new language. They could say no, and then we're in the same exact position. And ultimately at that point, depending on how the board authorizes any action here today, that could require the administrator to come back to the board for further authority. It could require the administrator to, or it could give him the authority to just terminate right then and there. There's lots of different potential options. If the MOU was ultimately terminated, to get back to your question, yes, they would be able to go and engage with some other group to be able to maintain the trail. So theoretically, if we terminated, they could go to the Friends group, they could go to the snowmobile group, they could go to a bicyclists group and say, hey.
Or a city.
Or a city,
Or village.
and say, hey, well, are you willing to maintain the trail? Are you willing to enter into an MOU with us to do all these things? And they could absolutely do that.
Are you willing to get sued?
Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
I'm trying to inject some humor.
Could we look at this and this portion and split it into two, give Mo the authority to negotiate with the DNR, but come back to the board to terminate the MOU?
If negotiations are unsuccessful, I think you absolutely.
Or his, at his discretion, but I mean, the way you first worded it, he was asking for permission to negotiate with the DNR and to void the contract.
Right, so staff, ultimately, one swift move is always the fastest way to get things done, but ultimately, the board has every option to.
Is there any reason that that there's a short time frame on this? I mean, I don't see where this is important for me. I mean, we could.
It's not.
Continue to look at this.
It's not necessarily a particularly speedy requirement that we do anything. However, we currently don't have a master plan.
We haven't had one for years.
Right. We, under our MOU, have an obligation to engage in the master planning process. So the longer we sit and not do anything, potentially we are arguably, a person could argue that we are in violation of the MOU as it is.
But then we could come back possibly, and if they don't want to negotiate that part of it and we're stuck with planning, we've completed a very substantial plan and a very substantial part of it. We could then hold public hearings that the court says that we were short on and put it back in their court.
Correct. So if negotiations failed and the board decided to ultimately keep it even after negotiations failed, we would be able to jump in and likely have another public hearing based upon the plan as it's presented, and then go through the decision-making process after that public hearing again. Again, the plan as it's currently drafted is not a foregone conclusion. Everyone still has to take into consideration all of the information, again, that's been presented, and any new information that's presented at the public hearing, and then vote again. So the plan as it was previously adopted is essentially gone, more or less. But that does not negate all of the public hearings that we previously had. You're correct. We would be jumping in halfway through the process.
And Tool Design, their contract with us, would they be obligated to help complete the plan?
I doubt it. I would have to go and look, but 5 years later, I think it is unlikely that we would be able to enforce
Would
that.
this organization be able to help? West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission?
I do not know. Maybe.
We've asked a lot of them and they won't. So my question is, did the DNR show up to any of this? For any of these, we're discussing the contract. Have they talked to us? Has the DNR sent anybody
DNR
here to talk to us?
Currently, the DNR has reached out to have a
Which
discussion.
DNR person?
Missy
Yeah, we just say DNR and who the hell is it? Who?
Melissa
Vanderloon, I think is how you pronounce the last name.
Okay, she's a what? What position does she have?
I don't know offhand what her title is. I'd have to look.
Is she public relations just to say no to us? Is that what her DNR?
She's our area supervisor for the.
She's the area supervisor.
She wanted
Did she come to a meeting? Why does the DNR not have to come to any of our meetings, any of these public hearings, anything? And then cut our throat?
that I can't answer.
Yeah. Can they? I mean, we've been going through this from 2000. I've been on all of these. 2007, 2008. We're in violation. Boom, it's over then. If they think we're in violation, it should be over. Should it not? The first judge couldn't even open up the thumb drives and took it for 3 years and drug it on. Did they look at that?
You're saying the MOU is over?
That's what you said at the MOU. If we're not doing our planning, we're in violation.
They have the right to execute a termination of the contract. Just because you have a right to terminate a contract doesn't mean you have to.
Sure, all right. But why can't we get these people here? I mean, they got 26 planners. West Central's got all these planners. We paid Tool 70 grand. Here we sit. We're right back. We haven't gained anywhere. The full board votes for it, for a master plan, and we get shut down by 40 people or whatever, a group it was. It's unbelievable that a state trail can be run by such a small group and it's considered a state trail. So I don't know. I think we should move on, and boy, it's a tough one. But I don't think we should let one person do it. I think it still should come to the committee. I mean, we can negotiate, give you some, but I don't think you should have the power to say yes or no. It should come back to all of us, or at least the committee, for some more direction.
I would agree with you. We can
Don't you
negotiate and
think?
bring back the MOU of what comes and the committee and the board can go thumbs up, thumbs down at that point.
Mhm.
Well, I think we'd have to.
That's
I don't think we should let one person take the hit
That's
for it.
logical.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've
No,
been,
it's
we've been
complicated,
putting,
so it isn't logical.
we put the work in negotiating and that, but bring it back to the committee and the board
Right.
to get to get it, whether we sign it or not, or change directions.
But could you get someone, this gal, to come and explain some of this to us? What did we do wrong then?
We can ask.
I mean, they should be able to say, the judge says, here's what you did wrong. Okay, explain why it was wrong.
You're probably
What
gonna,
did you do wrong? You know,
I think
lay it out for us.
we better do a little negotiating first with the DNR. Otherwise, they're gonna come here and stand there and say, I have no authority to say anything.
Well, it would be nice if they would work with us better on this, because it's the same thing.
It's anything.
It's the same thing with our shoreline zoning. We go through the same thing. They won't even talk to us sometimes, and it's unfortunate.
They
Because
didn't answer. That's right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
it's not just this, it's the other stuff too, that they keep getting around.
What is our way to move this on so that we do something positively tonight?
So how about if we, give Mo the authority to negotiate with the DNR and then bring back any kind of progress, and then we decide from there.
Okay,
With legal
that
review.
seems logical.
Just show up at their office one day and see.
I mean, I'll make that motion.
So second,
Just a minute.
And that's renegotiate the planning process or clarification or clarification on the planning process.
Give you full authority to negotiate with them on anything regarding the MOU, which includes the planning, all of it.
And authority to come to a tentative agreement pending.
No.
To bring back,
Agreement, all of us.
possibilities for the board to.
Yeah.
Right. So a tentative agreement pending approval by.
The board, the entire board. That initiate a closed session?
Right now? No,
No,
no. You mean
I'm not
if
talking
it
about
comes
now.
back?
the result,
It depends.
same thing.
Probably be fairly likely.
If we're
All right, there's a motion made and seconded to have, well, read the motion that we'd be voting on.
My understanding of the motion, unless you want to do it, my understanding of the motion, to restate it, is the motion is to grant the authority to the county administrator to engage in negotiations and to come to a tentative agreement, if it happens, with the DNR that ultimately has to come back in front of the board for final ratification and approval of the MOU.
Of the MOU. Okay. Does everybody understand that? Any discussion on it?
Just a comment. So it'll come back, negotiated, and then does it go to the committee? Does it go through
The
Public
board,
Works and Parks? Does it go through executive and then come here? Or does it
you
just? come
said the
here?
whole board.
It should go to the committee, for the committee to at least look at what is being contemplated and come to a conclusion on a recommendation would be my advice, that it go to the committee for them to be able to make a recommendation to the full
All right.
board.
Is that executive committee?
Parks and Board.
Public safety, public.
Keith, you
works.
made the motion. You want to reiterate it? This time coming to the committee rather than the whole board?
Well, the full board has to ratify it, so I don't think there's a change in the motion. I think it's just a change in the scheduling,
Committee.
which doesn't have to be a part of the
Or
motion.
is only coming, so the going to the committee is not part of the motion?
It does not, it does not need to be.
Process. The committee.
It doesn't need to be because it's part of the processing.
Okay,
But that's our process.
any more discussion?
Resolution goes to a committee, so it's,
All in favor?
I,
Opposed, same sign.
that's our process anyway, yeah.
All right, that takes care of, number 11. So we're up to 12. To appoint Lisa McCone.
McMahon,
McMahon.
McMahon.
Well, it's pronounced McMahon, but I was in the, yeah, well, guy with the same name. Pronounce it McMahon.
Yeah.
But anyway, as a humane officer, we all know Lisa, and she's very, very, very competent individual in her emergency management. So I appoint her. It doesn't need any approval, so that's the only appointments that I have.
Those confirmation. I'm just gonna ask, is she licensed?
The confirmation of the appointment. Okay. Moving on, we'll go to,
Do we need
Or-
to approve that? Just a point of order. Do we
what?
do we confirm his appointment?
No, you don't have to do anything.
I don't think so.
I don't believe so on that one.
Okay.
We can do it.
Always do
Just for the record,
We can do it for the record and confirm it.
I move
I thought we
to
always
accept the
confirmed
appointment
it.
of the administrator and our county board chair.
And to answer Supervisor O'Connell's question, next certification class comes up, she'll be certified. So she has 1 year to get that, and that'll be done within that year timeframe.
Okay.
The next class will come up for that, and there's a line in the statute that gives that provision to appoint prior to having that certification.
All right, so there is, all right.
Knowing her, we won't have any problem with that. Okay, county administrator's report.
Down to my report.
Yours.
There was a motion on the floor. Let's go back.
Did you vote? Did you guys
You did.
Oh, they made a motion.
just need to confirm the appointment?
I made the motion to confirmation.
I'll second it.
Motion made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
None. Okay. County administrators,
I have no appointments at this time.
by your report.
It's after yours.
You're first.
I have nothing to report. We've gone over everything.
My report right now, just a couple things. Sales tax was down in November from last year, 39%. December 1st was declared snowplow appreciation driver by the governor. Resolutions will be coming from the WCA on opening up permanently funding transportation. So you'll see some resolutions coming out of that for lobbying resolutions. The Atlas Dam repair has been moved to spring, which is still within the contractor's contract. The grandstand work, the framework is complete for this year. The work to resume in March 2026. The D.D. Kennedy Walking Bridge, that is underway right now for replacement once they have frozen ground. Currently, there are no measles cases reported in Wisconsin as of yet, so that's great. And the GAM census right now, their bed average is 62 beds, right where they anticipate being and want to be for 25 this year. And that's my report.
Have they been, can I ask questions?
Sure.
Sure.
Are they, at GAM? I know they've always had open beds.
Mhm.
A lot of them do, but are they still having trouble getting enough people to be able to bring more people in there?
Yeah, currently they have a capacity of 85 beds.
Yeah.
Right now, their sweet spot is 60 beds.
Yeah.
So with staffing levels and appropriate levels, they're right where they need to be. So it's still, staffing is always a concern there.
But if they had more staff, they could bring it, you could fill more beds.
Correct.
It's the same thing that it's been for a while. Okay.
Can I just mention too, Mo, maybe you want to bring up the CNA classes that they're holding at GAM in efforts to get additional staffing?
Mm-hmm.
They're holding their own CNA classes, and I forgot they had how many in the last class are coming up. So it isn't a good opportunity that Dana has working down there to not only train staff to get their CNAs, but then retain them for a little while. So.
And most of them who go through that, Dana had told us, do end up being hires there.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
We had our December meeting at Golden Age.
Yep, yep, I knew that.
Okay. Any announcements of supervisors meetings that they want to share?
I move to adjourn.
And send it to adjourn, all in favor?
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.